I am Captain Logan, and this is day 250 of Spawn Year. I awoke today to find Tiny Adam West glaring up ominously once again from the trash can. Right away I knew I had a long day ahead of me. Was I in for another round of combat training so soon after the last? What part of my body did he plan on eating away with deadly acidic Coca-Cola this time? But he didn't teleport me anywhere. Instead, he teleported something to me. A television, and hooked up to it one of my very favorite video game consoles, the Sega Dreamcast. Having read several of Terry Fitzgerald's blah 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 articles about the development and release of Spawn in the Demon's Hand, an arcade game released in 1999 by Capcom, I knew precisely what I'd be reviewing today. I wasn't certain I'd ever critique a Spawn item that wasn't a comic book again. But as these games so often were with Doomsvents, playing this video game wasn't only about the review. Frankly, Tiny Adam West has never seemed as concerned with these journal entries as he is with conditioning me into his fully obedient fighting machine, and I'm not sure he even reads them. To that end, learning and practicing this game is part of my combat training, a way to keep my mind on strategy, tactics, and above all, unconventional and supernatural fighting techniques. He left me and told me to practice for a couple hours, instructing me to familiarize myself with the controls and gameplay, and upon his return, he planned to challenge me to a battle royal match. If I managed to defeat him, my reward would be the secret to healing the wound in my chest, which I still haven't managed to fix with my powers. If I lost, I would have to live with this painful and embarrassing hole until next we met. I was determined to get as good as possible at this game before he returned. Nothing makes me feel more like the most pathetic version of Spawn than sitting helpless in an alleyway with a gaping chasm in my midsection. Before I even got to the character select screen, I immediately had the impression that this was the single most frantic, energetic, high-octane, over-the-top, unabashedly preposterous Spawn product I would ever consume. There's a TV cartoon-esque intro, like a lot of arcade fighters have, that makes Spawn look, well, exciting. It's vibrant and frantic, and the backdrop is all dark, demonic, gothic imagery, but that's all just an aesthetic encasing an otherwise outlandish and fun slash fest. And once I started playing, that's exactly what I got. No overbearing, self-important story, despite McFarlane being credited for story at the beginning. No pretending like this is high art or deep philosophy. This is, hands down, the most totally spot-on Spawn experience I've had. It says, look at this insane cast of characters. Angels with no clothes on, demons with lower jaws 4 times longer than their upper jaws, cyborg gorillas, cyborg hitmen, an old guy in a sombrero, a Laurel and Hardy cop duo, and the lead singer of every death metal band ever. How about we not take ourselves too seriously? The edgy but hilariously awesome tone is set at the startup screen with the announcer voice. Spawn. I like how he sounds totally evil, but he provides you with words of encouragement. You died, but it is not the end. Yeah, you got your torso brutally ripped off, but just pick yourself up and start violently eviscerating everybody some more. Several seconds left, you can do it! All these sorts of games have you respawn, see what I did there, repeatedly until the match is done. But this one's based on source material that provides a story explanation. Heaven and hell can reconstitute anybody they want. The game is simple and straightforward. Pick your character, get tossed in an arena, kill the other players, and die as infrequently as possible. Pick up standard power-ups to help you out. Whoever racks up the most points before the time is out wins. I like that it's not just a point per kill. As far as I can gather, you get more points based on how much of the kill is yours, and on the brutality of the kill. You score anywhere from 1 to 4 points for each character you take out, and you're docked points if you accidentally take yourself out, like jumping in a pit of fire or shooting a bazooka too close to a wall. At the start, you have 12 playable characters to choose from, but there are 37 total, which can be unlocked by playing boss attack mode with each character, and others by beating that mode on multiplayer. So far, I've unlocked some angel named Soleil and Hellspawn. I've got a long way to go. Happily, the game avoids redundancy with several different modes and by pitting you up against a lot of characters you haven't unlocked yet, in tournament mode and boss attack mode. There are a fair number of arenas to choose from, and I like the variety of sizes and different kinds of terrain, from wide open outdoor locales to small enclosed amphitheaters and laboratories. With the enormous cast of characters, though, I do think the game could use another 5 or 10 environments. There's a back alley and a sewer, but a city street would have been appropriate, and these stage names aren't especially creative. Wasteland, Path to Wasteland. Oh, is that hell? Because this is another video game we have to avoid the word hell? No, the main hell level is called Unknown. That's not unknown, that's hell. The game is rated mature, but it's a really tame mature. Or maybe I've just read so much Spawn now I'm totally desensitized to all this blood and decapitation. Not only is it avoiding the word hell, except for when you unlock Hellspawn, but nobody swears as far as I've heard, and you have to turn up the violence level if you want to see red blood. On the lowest setting, everybody bleeds green, which I guess is somehow less violent and more kid-friendly. I didn't even realize you could change that until just before I began this entry, and thought it was weird that no matter what sort of being you are, you bleed green. Once you turn up the difficulty, you find the game designers were impressively faithful to the source material. On the highest violence level, creatures from hell still bleed necroplasm, while everybody else bleeds red. And it takes advantage of all the various abilities these different characters have in the comics, which does cause some imbalance, particularly when pitting characters with ranged weapons against characters with only melee weapons. But really, characters like Sam and Twitch shouldn't be evenly matched when going up against demons from hell. Sure, Spawn, Sam, and Twitch have to stop to reload, so if you're caught in their crossfire, you have a moment to escape. But since these weapons lock automatically, and a player only has to turn in your general direction to lock onto you, the only way to sneak up on an exclusively gun-toting character is when they're distracted while firing on somebody else. It can be a really awkward mechanic. You don't usually put close combat and projectile shooting characters together in an arcade-style fighter, even in an arena-style game. This is like crossing Soul Calibur with Quake, incidentally, both of which I also had on Dreamcast. I tend to use melee characters though, like Redeemer or Grace the Angel, someone with a long reaching sword, because it's more satisfying than standing behind rocks or pillars sniping people, and because generally it takes less time to make a kill than firing a machine gun. So the game does a decent job of giving pros and cons to each style of fighting. I love that Overkill has his Cyclopean eye beam, though once again, no head firing action. And Tremor's special move is that springy arm thing, which is surprisingly effective. It's disappointing that Spawn only fires guns, but there are other versions that do other things, which can be unlocked, including Dark Ages Spawn, though he looks more like medieval Spawn. But I guess McFarlane lost the rights to him by this point along with Angela, so that's a bit of a cheat. I kinda wish it was just a full-on Covenant design. And it goes without saying, but Angela isn't here either, replaced with a host of other angels. The initial character select is lopsided, but most of the characters you'd want are here. There are too many shooters and not enough melee characters. Why not include a Spawn with a chain attack, energy balls, or a broadsword if you're also going to open with Al Simmons as playable? Cog is really unique. He shoots energy balls and lightning like Emperor Palpatine, and is surprisingly powerful and usable. Sam and Twitch are both there from the beginning, but Twitch naturally is 3 times more useful. He's fast, hard to see, and has powerful guns. Sam is hilarious. He has a rocket launcher to make up for his lumbering, slow pace, and it takes him forever to get anywhere. But seeing him run twice normal speed when you get the speed up power up is worth picking him once. You get Tremor, but not Sidor. He's unlockable. And 2 angels? Why? They're practically identical. Clown is neat in principle, but clumsy in execution. He's slow and cumbersome like Sam, but has hysterical weapons, including a chainsaw and a boxing glove, and he is theoretically more powerful when you turn into Violator. That move requires pressing right, left, and B simultaneously and is sometimes difficult to pull off. There you're faster, huge, can swipe things with your giant monster arms, and your weapons become 3 types of flame you can breathe. The trouble is, it's a little hard to aim the fire, and you're only Violator for about 30 seconds at a time. I guess Clown isn't great at concentrating. So I don't like playing as him, but it's just fun the game included that transforming mechanic. It would have been easy to program a lot of identical models with different skins, and while some characters are naturally too redundant, it doesn't skimp out on having the most unique of them perform their signature moves. It's also fun that Clown's name changes to Violator on the scoreboard when he transforms. You also get Jessica Priest at the start, another shooter, and I don't know why she's dressed like a cop, and I'm a little surprised not to see Jason win anywhere. And then there's the characters that seem to be just made up for the game. I've read 129 issues of Spawn, all of Sam and Twitch, all of Curse of the Spawn, just shy of a dozen minis and one-shots. Who the heck is Brimstone? He looks like a guy who'd show up in a Spawn comic, but I've never seen him before. We've got the entire cast of the Violator mini. Yeah, all 4 Flabiac brothers. Violator, Vindicator, Vacillator, and Vaporizer. And boy, does he ever vaporize. That stuff is brutal. I wonder if they have a cousin called Moisturizer who just sprays deadly lotion all over you. Or Vacuuminator who just sucks you into himself. Oh wait, that's something else. Vacuuminator is one of my old YouTube subscribers. Wonder how that guy's doing. Even the Admonisher is here, which is weird, because he doesn't say anything. So if we're digging that deep, why do we need to make people up for this? I'm not suggesting Wanda, or Granny Blake, or Cyan, or Billy Kincaid driving an ice cream truck, or Little Old Lady God, or Todd McFarlane, although that could be fun, and cathartic. But where's the freak? Why not John Sangster? Why doesn't anybody remember Suture, the only cool original thing in Curse of the Spawn? Anyway, onto the gameplay. There's not much to it. You jump, attack, and cycle through weapons. Some characters have a special move which you perform with the right trigger, and there's a button to adjust camera angle which switches your perspective toward whatever you're fighting or whatever's currently beating the tar or necroplasm out of you. The camera and lack of control over perspective are the game's biggest limitations. You can toggle the camera to a distant perspective in the options, but it's still hard to see what you're doing sometimes. There are occasional glitches, sometimes foreground objects get in the way. For the most part, the real hindrance is in the controller. If only there was a second stick, so you'd have a full 365-degree range of vision. Vital for a third-person 3D game like this. According to Fitzgerald, a port to the PS2 was planned, but it never happened because it would have had to be rebuilt from the ground up, as the coding was transferable to a Sega platform but not to a Sony system. But you know, the first stick would be nice too. Why do I have to use the D-pad? How is a game ported from an arcade system with joysticks to a home console with an analog stick and you can't use it? If there's one kind of game you want to be able to use the stick with, it's one where your character moves in all directions. There are other irritations too. Sometimes there's so much chaos on the screen you can't begin to strategize a means of attack or escape. Sometimes characters blend in too much with the landscape so you can't see them. Sometimes I'll come up on a character that's already been killed, but they haven't respawned yet, so I'm hacking away at a standing corpse. Either fall down or disappear already. Yeah, maybe you're only a torso with blood flying out the top, but if there's so much mayhem, I can't always tell. And in the outdoor stages, sometimes you'll come to the edge of a perimeter and get blocked, but it looks like it just keeps going. Maybe put up a barricade, body of water, something. But if you can live with all of that, the game has a lot of replay value, and modes for the lacking in attention span or completist alike. You can play single matches alone or with 3 other players, free-for-all or cooperative with teams of 2. And there's a one-player tournament mode, complete several stages against 3 appropriately allied CPUs. Or my favorite, Boss Attack, where it's you against 1 CPU with a health bar plus minions. In platformers, I usually despise bosses. SNES Redeemer still gives me nightmares. Oh, the mannequins. Oh god, not the mannequins. But now I get to be Redeemer. But it's nice in a game like this to have one major target to focus on. After I played for a good long time alone, Tiny Atom West returned, with a controller in hand, and we had a duel. Well, plus 2 CPUs. You can't just have 2 players on screen, which is a little annoying. You have to choose 2 computer players as well. Tiny Atom West chose Clown, naturally, and he insisted I play as Spawn. Great. Shooting. He made the CPUs Cog and Redeemer. He probably knows Captain Cogliostro and I aren't exactly friends, though I'm not sure what the significance of Redeemer is, except that I almost had a heart attack trying to beat him on Super Nintendo. In the end, my intense training paid off. I won by a hair, 19 to 18. Tiny Adam West was delighted at my progress, and he produced a 2-liter of Mountain Dew, revealing that the only way to seal a Coke-induced wound is to pour Mountain Dew around it. It can't be done with supernatural powers. I downed the rest of the bottle after healing my midsection, and felt my power levels max out. I was stronger than I've ever felt in this place. Before he left, Tiny Adam West reminded me to continue practicing my fighting strategy with this game, but he also suggested that now might be a good time to work on my creativity, to stretch my powers and see what else I can do. And now, dear reader, I feel like celebrating. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Everything is well tonight, and my brain is rolling out of my head. My whole life is so damn great, and you're grating on my nerves again. So I called up the doctor, I showed him where I'm starting to swell. Pain, and now I'm feeling well. Tearing up all the pieces, tearing up all the lies. Rip it up, rip it till you torn up and terrified. All day long, I dig a ditch. You tell me this will be the end. I got these voices.